is going to kill you. We've got to take a quick break, folks. This is probably going to dominate the entire hour. When we return, we're going to hear more sound bites that the mainstream media just isn't playing. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere now.
John will be right back right after this.
Yes, it will. Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-'70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled, and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now.
Hey man, you're listening to the John LeBang Show, man.
The place where chronic brain cell rejuvenation happens.
Feel like you're getting any smarter yet?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me as though some little tidbits of evidence are either being regressed from her memory or omitted from the testimony. Because omitting's not lying, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't want to tell them certain parts of it. Let's continue.
A couple of times I made eye contact with Mark and thought he might try to help me, but he did not.
I'll let you ponder on that soundbite alone. I will not comment. Hit the next one.
Brett did not rape me.
Brett did not rape her. He did not rape her. Let's replay that.
Brett did not rape me. I should just move on.
Because Brett did not rape me, I should just move on. She admitted Brett did not rape her, and she was just going to move on. Let's play it one more time so you hear it, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm sure the mainstream manufactured soundbite media did not play this one.
I convinced myself that because Brett did not rape me, I should just move on.
Brett did not rape me. I should just move on. And she moved on for many, 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 many years without it becoming a public circus. Now here's the next soundbite.
After that May 2012 therapy session.
So she started talking about it in 2012 to her therapist. It finally came up 20-some years later. It finally came up in therapy. Why she's in therapy, I don't know. Why she's a professor anywhere and has the ability to teach anybody if she's seeing a therapist for mental issues, I won't understand. But whatever. Guess we can't discriminate against women who have mental instability. Let's move forward.
But until July 2018, I had never named Mr. Kavanaugh as my attacker outside of therapy. This changed in early July 2018. I saw press reports stating that Brett Kavanaugh was on the short list of a list of very well qualified Supreme Court nominees. I thought it was my civic duty to relay the information I had about Mr. Kavanaugh's conduct so that those considering his nomination would know about this assault. On July 6th, I had a sense of urgency to relay the information to the Senate and the President as soon as possible before a nominee was selected. I did not know how specifically to do this. I called my congressional representative and let her receptionist know that someone on the President's shortlist had attacked me. I also sent a message to the encrypted Washington Post confidential tip line. I did not use my name, but I provided the names of Brett Kavanaugh and Mark Judge.
I'm just going to let you absorb that one, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the next soundbite that I'm sure the mainstream manufactured news didn't tell you.
Over the next 2 days, I told a couple of close friends on the beach in Aptos, California, that Mr. Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted me.
After all these years, only telling therapists, supposedly, she decided to start laying the groundwork by telling friends that this happened over 30-some years ago. Groundwork. Gotta love it.
On July 9th, I received a return phone call from the office of Congresswoman Anna Eshoo after Mr. Kavanaugh had become the nominee. I met with her staff on July 18th and with her on July 20th, describing the assault and discussing my fears about coming forward. Later, we discussed the possibility of sending a letter to Ranking Member Feinstein, who is one of my state senators, describing what occurred. My understanding is that Representative Eshoo's office delivered a copy of my letter to Senator Feinstein's office on July 30th. The letter included my name, but also a request that it be kept confidential.
So the Democrats weren't concerned about this at all. They got the report. They weren't concerned at all until Kavanaugh got the nominee. Then they go, hey, we have some dirt on Kavanaugh. We should probably look into this. I continue. Now, this is where it gets really juicy, folks. Feinstein gets the letter and is asked to keep it confidential. In other words, they don't want it leaked to the media. They don't want the exposure. They want to remain under the radar. That was an agreement. Now let's hear this soundbite.
During August 2018, the press reported that Mr. Kavanaugh's confirmation was virtually certain. Persons painted him as a champion of women's rights and empowerment. And I believed that if I came forward, my single voice would be drowned out by a chorus of powerful supporters. By the time of the confirmation hearings, I had resigned myself to remaining quiet and letting the committee and the Senate make their decision.
So she let it go again. She let it go because Kavanaugh has been an exceptional dude when it comes to women ever since whatever encounter happened 30-some years ago. He's been outstanding. 70-some ladies have written testimonies and talked about and supported Judge Kavanaugh as being an outstanding man towards women. So she decided, you know what, I'll just let it go. It's probably a one-time thing. Whatever happened, happened. I didn't get raped. So all's well that ends well. That's me entering that in. Now let's go to the next soundbite.
Once the press started reporting on the existence of the letter I had sent to Senator Feinstein, I faced mounting pressure.
Hang on, now let's wait a minute. So she resigned herself to not being, just letting it all go. And then it gets leaked to the public by, well, Dianne Feinstein or somebody in her staff. How else would it have gotten there? How else would the press have known unless Dianne Feinstein, who promised this lady confidentiality, how would it get to the mainstream manufactured soundbite media if Dianne Feinstein or somebody in her staff didn't just leak it out? Why isn't anybody in the mainstream media concerned with this? Why aren't they outraged that Dianne Feinstein not only broke a promise to a woman who wanted to remain confidential about an incident that happened long ago that she admits wasn't rape, but it bothered her here and there throughout her life. And Dianne Feinstein, that fine, outstanding woman there, she goes out and leaks this stuff to the media. And now this woman, her whole life's turned upside down because the Democrat called Dianne Feinstein leaked to their accomplices in the media. Gotta love it. A story that she wasn't supposed to leak to the media. Let's continue.
Reporters appeared at my home and at my workplace, demanding information about the letter in the presence of my graduate students.
All because of Dianne Feinstein. They came to her house, emails, going to her work, right in the middle of class. Report, the shameless, I can't believe it, the shameless reporters. Just to get some kind of story so they can destroy Kavanaugh. The shameless reporting and the shameless act by Dianne Feinstein, who brought this all on this woman just to oppose a nominee who was too clean to oppose. Let's continue.
They called my bosses and coworkers and left me many messages, making it clear that my name would inevitably be released to the media.
Can you believe this? The shameless media, the shameless Dianne Feinstein, who made a freaking promise to this lady for political purposes, is going to ruin this lady's life, ruin Kavanaugh's life, make their life a living hell. Because people, average people who are just out of their minds on both sides of the issue, can't just let people live. Stop threatening people. I mean, it's ridiculous, the average human being, how stupid they are. But here's a woman that I'm going to sound like I'm defending now, because I am defending. Dianne Feinstein had information that this woman wanted to be left confidential. She just wanted the committee to know this so that way they could make an assessment and it didn't have to come out. But what did Feinstein do? She went to her allies in the manufactured fake news media and published this against her will. And now it's a living hell for her and it's a living hell for Kavanaugh. And you people want to vote Democrat this time around, don't you? My God, people make me sick. Let's continue.
I decided to speak out publicly to a journalist who had originally responded to the tip I had sent to the Washington Post and who had gained my trust. It was important for me to describe the details of the assault in my own words.
So the one person she reported to in the media that she left a tip for asked them, could you keep it anonymous? But now she reached out to him because, hey, it's already out there. My life's going to be a living hell. I better get my side of the story out so that, and this is so interesting, if you watch the video at this point, when she's looking at, who she's looking at, when she says my side of the story, she's looking right at Dianne Feinstein because she knows Dianne Feinstein screwed her.
Since September 16th, the date of the Washington Post story, I have experienced an outpouring of support from people in every state of this country.
Yeah, to the support of a GoFundMe page, which is so interesting. Strzok has got one too. The FBI guy. But $700,000 or more at this point have gone into a GoFundMe page for this lady. So she's making some money off this. It's a GoFundMe page. There's no way to bust anybody for that. Oh, boy. Wonder why that GoFundMe page was made. Why was that GoFundMe page made? To support her legal fees? This lawyer that she's hired is going to get more prominence than he's ever had. He's going to make a boatload of money, and he could have done this pro bono. And it didn't matter what side, what everything finished out at, how it all turned out, because he was going to have a name now, because he went before Congress and he was the lawyer of Mrs. Ford. Let's continue.
These past couple of weeks have been the hardest of my life. I've had to relive this trauma in front of the world.
She had to live this trauma in front of the world because of Dianne Feinstein and the absurd, dishonest, mainstream, manufactured soundbite media. That's right. And you thought this was all about Kavanaugh and just destroying him. No, this is going to destroy her if she's not some kind of setup. Which we might talk about that later. In fact, we will. Let's finish this soundbite off.
And I've seen my life picked apart by people on television, on Twitter, other social media, other media, and in this body.
Her whole life has now been freaking ruined because of Dianne Feinstein, the mainstream manufactured fake news who wanted to destroy Kavanaugh, so they're willing to ruin this woman's life against her will, because she wanted to remain confidential. Against her will, they ruined her life. That's right, folks. to go after one man who was so squeaky clean, that there was no way they could stop